Shrimad's Divine Grace, founder of Iskana Bhakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, Granth Shrimadbhagavatam ki, their most merciful Lordship, Shri Shrimadkanjali Hari ki, Shri Jagannath, Shri Baladev Mani Subhadra ki, Shri Nataji, Shri Balagopal ki, Shri Gauranitai ki, Nitai Gopal. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the Lord Spirit, Shri Guru, Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Todayam Udhiraya There is, like you said, Ramayana, 9th canto on the second shelf down on the left side. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I wanted to read from Chaitanya Charitamrita. I think that's on the top shelf there, isn't it? Volume 1, that's it, yeah. Thank you very much. Narayanam namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Viraya Nasta Prayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naishtiki. I had just marked this yesterday and the marker's in a different place.
Sorry, I just changed it. I only changed it.
Somebody is reading. Oh, great. Okay, well, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm the one that moved the marker that you were reading it.
Okay.
But
I just moved from third chapter, starting you kept.
yeah, I was wanting to get to the invocation and its connection to Gopal Krishna Maharaj. Because the Sankirtan movement we're now taking part in, having been established by Lord Chaitanya, we have the record of it. And it's nice to remember how glorious it is that Lord Chaitanya has taken this form in order to give liberation that had not been given by any other form Krishna had taken part in.
I moved it from third chapter today.
What is it?
I changed that marking from third chapter starting from. You kept third chapter starting.
Starting at the third chapter?
Yeah, third starting.
That's where it moved from?
Yeah, that's where I moved from.
Where you moved it from?
Yeah.
And let's see,
External reasons for Lord Chaitanya's appearance.
Two. Well, that's where it is. That's where it is.
Third chapter starting. Text 1. Okay.
Text 1. Maybe 3:1:7.
It's written here, but just 4 or 5 words.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is it.
Yeah, that's where I moved from.
This is it. Okay. Okay, I won't move your marker though. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye Nasta Prayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naishtiki. We're reading from Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 13, Text 46. 46. Kala Karma Gunadino Kala Karma Gunadino Deho Yam Pancha Bhautika Deho Yam Pancha Bhautika Katam Anyam Tu Gopayat Katam Anyam Tu Gopayat Sarva Rasto Yata Param Sarva Rasto Yata Param Kala Karma Gunadino Kala Karma Gunadino Deho Yam Panchabodhika Deho Yam Panchabodhika Katamanyam Sigopayat Katamanyam Sigopayat Sarpagrasto Yataparam Sarpagrasto Yataparam Krishna Kala Karma Gunadino Deho Yam Panchabodhika Katamanyam Stigopayat Sarpagrasto Yataparam. Anyone else? Kala Dharma Gunadino Deho Yam Panchabodhika Katamanyam Stigopayat Sarpagrasto Yataparam. Kala Eternal time, karma, action, guna, modes of nature, adina, under the control of, deha, material body and mind, I am this, Panchabodhika, made of the 5 elements. Katam, how. Anyan, others. Tu, but. Gopayat, give protection. Sarpagrasta, one who is bitten by the snake. Yata, as much as. Param, others. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. This gross material body, made of 5 elements, is already under the control of eternal time, action, karma, and the modes of material nature, guna. How then can it, being already in the jaws of the serpent, protect others? Please repeat. This gross material body, made of 5 elements, is already under the control of eternal time, kala, action, karma, and the modes of material nature, guna. How then can it, being already in the jaws of the serpent, protect others? This gross material body, made of the 5 elements, is already under the control of eternal time, kala, action, karma, and the modes of material nature, guna. How then can it, being already in the jaws of the serpent, protect others? Purport. The world's movements for freedom through political, economic, social, and cultural propaganda can do no benefit to anyone for they are controlled by superior power. A conditioned living being is under the full control of material nature, represented by eternal time and activities under the dictation of different modes of nature. There are three material modes of nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. Unless one is situated in the mode of goodness, one cannot see things as they are. The passionate and the ignorant cannot even see things as they are. Therefore, a person who is passionate and ignorant cannot direct his activities on the right path. Only the man in the quality of goodness can help to a certain extent. Most persons are passionate and ignorant, and therefore their plans and projects can hardly do any good to others. Above the modes of nature is eternal time, which is called kala, because it changes the shape of everything in the material world. Even if we're able to do something temporarily beneficial, time will see that the good project is frustrated in course of time. The only thing possible to be done is to get rid of eternal time, kala, which is compared to kala sarpa, or the cobra snake, whose bite is always lethal. No one can be saved from the bite of a cobra. The best remedy for getting out of the clutches of the cobra, like kala, or its integrity, the modes of nature, is bhakti yoga, as it is recommended in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, verse 26. The highest perfectional project of philanthropic activities is to engage everyone in the act of preaching bhakti yoga all over the world, because that alone can save the people from the control of Māyā, or the material nature represented by kala, karma, and guna, as described above. The Bhagavad Gita 14:26 confirms this definitely. We're going to go to the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, verse 26. It reads, Mam chayo vyabhikcharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhujaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. I'm going to read this purport because it's very significant in this time for leaders to understand the requirements necessary for them to sit in their positions of authority, which is self-realization. This verse is a reply to Arjuna's third question. What is the means of attaining to the transcendental position? As explained before, the material world is acting under the spell of the modes of material nature. One should not be disturbed by the activities of the modes of nature, instead of putting his consciousness into such activities. He may transfer his consciousness to Krishna activities. Krishna activities are known as bhakti yoga, always acting for Krishna. This includes not only Krishna, but his different planetary expansions, such as Ram and Narayan. He has innumerable expansions. One is engaged in the service of any of the forms of Krishna or of his planetary expansions is considered to be transcendentally situated. One should also note that all the forms of Krishna are fully transcendental, blissful, full of knowledge, and eternal. Such personalities of Godhead are omnipotent and omniscient, and they possess all transcendental qualities. So, if one engages himself in the service of Krishna or his plenary expansions with unfailing determination, although these modes of material nature are very difficult to overcome, one can overcome them easily. This has already been explained in the 7th chapter. One who surrenders unto Krishna at once surmounts the influence of the modes of material nature. To be in Krishna consciousness or in devotional service means to acquire equality with Krishna. The Lord says that his nature is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge, and the living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme, as gold particles are part of a gold mine. Thus, the living entity in his spiritual position is as good as gold, as good as Krishna. In quality, the difference of individuality continues. Otherwise, there would be no question of Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga means that the Lord is there, the devotee is there, and the activity of exchange of love between the Lord and the devotee is there. Therefore, the individuality of two persons is present in the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the individual person. Otherwise, there would be no meaning to Bhakti Yoga. If one is not situated in the same transcendental position with the Lord, one cannot serve the Supreme Lord. That's a very powerful statement. Krishna. Let me read that again. If one is not situated in the same transcendental position with the Lord, one cannot serve the Supreme Lord. To be a personal assistant to a king, one must acquire the qualifications. Thus, the qualification is to become Brahman, or freed from all material contamination. It is said in the Vedic literature, Brahmanivasa Bhumapyeti, one can attain the Supreme Brahman by becoming Brahman. This means that one must qualitatively become one with Brahman. By attainment, by attainment of Brahman, one does not lose his eternal Brahman identity as an individual soul. Now, the deepest confidential part of this purport is revealing to us we have an eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this human form is being given to us as a means of being able to once again remember that and being brought to that state of mind we were in which that eternal set of circumstances will once again be reestablished in our lives, which the temple provides, and which leaving this body will be a continuation of. So, in effect, the leaving of the body in the movement we are in is a glorious act of a continuation now into a more perfect set of circumstances in which we will be put into that, what is called the rupa. And that rupa is that form that the soul has with Krishna eternally. So this is what we celebrate as well in the recognition of the spiritual master having, by choice of Krishna, left this planet to continue that service now, by that service here having been completed to the extent necessary for Krishna to be happy with the work that was done by Gopal Krishna Maharaj. We are recognizing the work, the glorious. I was able to be in New Delhi, in India, 1988. Maharaj was, on the day I was there for a few days, but on the day I was there, New Delhi temple at that time was like a little tiny, it's about the size of this. The temple was about half this size, the temple room, but it was a big house. And so when you had luggage, it had to be locked up. So you bring your luggage in, and it goes in one closet with everybody else's luggage. You got whatever you needed out of your luggage. That wasn't open until you had to leave. So Maharaj was installing the deities, which was almost a mile away. And you had to go down the block and then walk and then come to the temple. And it was quite a walk for me, even though at the time I was, like 38 years old. When I got to the temple, I saw that there was an elephant. And it was a devotee. I thought he was a devotee, right? Giving rides back and forth to the temple. So I thought, well, I'll get a ride on the way back. So Maharaj was opening that temple for the first, that was like the grand opening, and the installation of the deities. So you can see he is continuing Srila Prabhupada's work. And they're all in this together with Lord Chaitanya. In this movement that Lord Chaitanya established 540 years ago, bringing with him a prayer, this Shikshastakam, unique to all other, that the Supreme Person would give these teachings of humility to help us understand the meanings of humility and the mentality, the mood we need to develop in our lives, in our hearts, for us to know how to think properly about ourselves and what position we have in comparison to all the most elevated living entities that there are in this universe. That now we are being given a privilege to be able to take part in the same kinds of activities that Krishna has given unlimited amount of souls, and is going to deliver the universe according to Murari Gupta's prayers to Krishna and Srila Prabhupada's statements about him. Greater than one who requires faith in them to be saved. He's speaking specifically of Lord Jesus Christ, that Christians are saying we must be saved by having faith in Jesus Christ. Srila Prabhupada says, greater is that in one whose prayer is that the whole universe can go back to Godhead. But he was wanting, if it was possible, for all the sufferings of living entities to be brought upon him, for them be able to go back to Godhead. This was his prayer. And this is revealed in Chaitanya Charitamrita. The nectar of the life of Lord Chaitanya. How could a life be nectar? The way a life can be nectar is that it gives the very knowledge that gives spiritual realization to the soul, who is able to absorb that knowledge and realize their place eternally in service to that knowledge. So, in our positions with Krishna, with service to him, it can cover so many aspects that are normally looked at as ordinary human activities, but yet have this, because the realization of the soul that is engaging in the activity, now it gives the activity the unction of being a spiritual activity as well. And it is developed by that consciousness of putting ourselves in that position of servant. Now, if the most powerful, all-knowing, supreme person can live on this planet 48 years in a mindset of servant, and then most dear Lord Nityananda, his brother, manifesting as his divine bliss, not, how can we say, never committing offense against any human being. To speak, he's another aspect of Krishna's personality in order for us to be able to know the completeness of every quality of Krishna's personality. They have to be themselves manifest as a complete whole. So love is a complete whole, that manifesting as love, as a complete whole, it reveals in the completeness of itself certain aspects that no other manifestation has. And so same way with other aspects of Krishna. Intelligence, manifesting in the form of Lord Buddha. He manifested a pathway, much as we are on a pathway for people to follow, that by following the instructions and the guidance, they will find liberation. And he was bringing this to those who were seeking liberation. So Krishna comes according to time and circumstance, gives the living entities who are under the circumstances they find themselves entrapped by, ensnared by, because this ignorance that we are much subjected to by being born at this particular time in Kali Yuga is very powerful. So powerful that people do not know they are controlled by it. And so all these events that are happening within the world are being looked at as powers beyond the ability for man to control. But no, actually mankind's consciousness and activities are the cause of all these activities that are going on in the world as reactions to those thoughts and actions. Now, this morning I was considering the fact we use material energy to force these bodies to perform certain functions. And by that, okay, they radiate a certain energy, these bodies do, which for the most part is material energy. But it has a rippling effect. But when you concentrate the mind, see the thought, if a person engages in an activity they don't want to fess up to doing, so they are going to create a lie about themselves, about their activity. So the thoughts they have about protecting that which is a lie also create vibrations. Those enter into the false ego, and that is a force that is also having the ability to direct itself individually to those that cause those specific forces to enter into that controlling factor that these energies, Srila Prabhupada is talking about passion and ignorance. It is those forces of human beings consciously that they are taking part in, because now the act that has been engaged in to harm another living entity is having a force in the opposite direction of the one who is creating the lie. The lie is giving the impression that, one thing is true, and actually another thing is true. So they're both opposite forces, so to speak. But see, when a devotee is living the life that he's meditating upon the energy of, these are concentrated efforts being made by an individual who's, when he's under the illusion of the potency of the illusory energy, his energies are all split up, just like the mind, many branched. And everything he gets involved with drives him to another direction other than that direction of the eternal purpose. And when we follow the will of our own hearts and our own minds, see what happens. We drive ourselves to all lengths, going to all lengths, trying to find what can only be satisfied by that eternal experience, which the nectar, this is the nectar of these truths, gives the soul. And that's why when we talk about the writings directly describing Lord Chaitanya and his life, is described as nectar. Because it is that that's feeding the soul the ability to have consciousness in that energy that is eternal. And so this is why in the heavenly planets they drink a nectar. You have to become qualified to drink the nectar of Somaras, which gives long-lasting life and strength and knowledge. Just like we drink hot milk here, and it gives us knowledge from the development of brain tissue that cannot be developed by any other food source. This milk. That's why the cow is sacred. This cow, when he's thinking, when she is thinking, when they are thinking, because the bull is also religion. He's manifesting as a form of religion. And he takes part in helping mankind. And his original purpose, the cow was helping man to cultivate the crops that were necessary for man's continuance. They were working together as a team. In the spiritual world, that same thing is going on with all living forms, as I was explaining last time I gave class, with Krishna, the flute. They're friends, they're close as friends. Krishna's putting his very lips to this friend, the flute. And so we have also here in the material world use of things, but in our minds these things are all dead matter. In Krishna consciousness, we develop a different way of looking at everything in life. Everything is coming from Krishna's own body. Is that a confirmation? So everything is coming from Krishna's body. But it is the way we view it that gives us experience. It's the way we view everything in this world that we are having what we are calling experience of life, that we are calling life. Lord Chaitanya lived such 48 years in such a way that people, by even reading about that life, gained eternal benefit simply by the study of the activities he took part in. And in my mind, one of the greatest was the giving of the Shikshastakam prayers. This Sankirtan movement is a prime benediction. I cry. This is so sweet that God himself is giving to us such a tremendous gift of this realization of the power, of potency of his holy names that we can take wholeheartedly to know fully, to the extent we are capable of receiving the love that it is. The Sankirtan movement is a prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the ocean of spiritual bliss, That's what we're doing. And so we are sharing as partners with Krishna. We become his instruments of love to the world by finding this out, that Krishna wants his names in every ear, his names to be known, so that their eternal relationship, our eternal relationship, can be known and realized by everyone who hears it. Because in this way, mankind is going to find that satisfaction he's looking for in all other directions and all other sprayed out directions. My name means concentrated energy, undivided attention. And see, this is what happens when you're chanting and you're meditating in the mood we are meant to be meditating in. Then they are both of such a concentrated need. They are putting out a vibration of such concentrated energy that they have the ability to expand that Krishna is calling the expansion of his spiritual potencies. That's incredible. The Almighty Person is telling every individual that will take his name seriously and recite these names as taking part with him, as expanding his own spiritual potencies. So while we would otherwise be creating vibrations or waves with our minds and our bodies exactly against that, with our consciousness thinking to find through the use of the energy of Krishna, which also we've explained before, is that feminine energy of his, and in its purest state, his own wife. It is her energy. Mother Bhumi is Lord Vishnu's wife. So she is manifesting what we would call a material body in this world. It's an external body that she is manifesting, but only if we see it as material in our minds will we get the result of material interaction. If we, with respect, which is automatically by the activities of devotees using the fruits of Mother Bhumi's body, not for their own pleasure, not with the hope of satisfying their own bodies, but with the hope of pleasing the husband of the wife who is providing these fruits. And she wants these fruits to be given to her husband. And this makes sense, doesn't it? Doesn't every wife have in her heart to please her husband? This is what's supposed to be. And every husband sees in his wife that most beautiful he has found in the whole world. Every man is holding this, should be holding this in his mind toward his very own wife. This is what Krishna has enabled beauty itself to be, as it said, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. And so we have, by example, the relationship between Radha and Krishna, what is in fact supreme, powerful, and magnificent, I want to say, but the absoluteness of beauty itself. And when love looks into the eyes of the controller, the supreme controller, and all-powerful one, it is such an experience created for the pleasure of the supremely powerful one. By glance and divinely pleasing glance, he sees in her, in his love, he sees more than he is himself experiencing. He's seeing that in Shrimati Radharani, that she is gaining from service to him. And by this combined energy that they manifest in the form of Lord Chaitanya and give to us the reality of what that is. Lord Chaitanya goes into the temple, starts chanting. He gets so overwhelmed with this love, he can't control himself even. And this is God Almighty. This is revelation to us as how powerful this chanting will be when we take it wholeheartedly and with realization of the privilege that it is that we're being given and the effects it will have on the entire universe. We are not expanding the spiritual potencies of the local area. Those are all included in the expanding of the spiritual realm that Krishna is talking about, that we are expanding. We expand his ecstasies and his bliss. So discussion of these things as well with realization and experience. And it is experience we are looking for. It is experience that brings wisdom and application of knowledge. Experience means applying principles that we have been given in order to have the end result from what is told, we are told, will be from the reading. If you go to college, they're telling you from the profession you will be able to gain by their absorption of their knowledge. They're making you a promise to get a better place in life on this planet. Only that's as far as it can reach, and that's as far as they promise to give you. And with that, there's even no promise. Nobody can promise you're going to get a job if you don't act right. So you have to also meet qualifications. And this is what can start from childhood, from before the womb, is the etiquette, the balanced mind, the clear understanding of karma, the laws of karma, the necessity of creating sound vibrations that add to the furtherance of the nectar Krishna is pouring out in the form of mercy through the life of Lord Chaitanya. And so that knowledge that we give of Lord Chaitanya is promoting the nectar of Lord Chaitanya. It's increasing Lord Chaitanya's, the nectar that his life is, by spreading it to others then. That nectar that Lord Chaitanya's life is for the well-being of all living entities. He's giving guidelines for us to follow. More tolerant than a tree, we consider ourselves lower than the straw in the street. Wow. Who's going to give that kind of advice to anybody? You want to become lower than the straw in the street? You're not going to get that from college. They will not teach you how to become lower than the straw in the street, I guarantee you. In fact, you want to become lower than the straw in the street, you go live in a homeless cave somewhere. Right? But see, what Lord Chaitanya is talking about is consciousness. He's not saying we go out and roll in the ground, although that's also an act of humility, and it can be under certain circumstances. But what he is talking about is the mentality we develop, because the consciousness we develop is more powerful In the case of the thief, truth is more powerful than the lies he creates about himself. The reality of what he did and the reality of what he is match, in that they are both being enacted by the same individual. So this act of criminal activities is a direct statement against what the soul's nature is. So we're trying to live a lie if we engage in criminal activity. It's like living a lie. And so, in effect, lies, they are a description of something that does not exist. Right? That's what a lie is. That a person who is speaking the lie is thinking will have the power to keep them from the suffering that they know they will have to experience, which is the cause of their speaking lie. But it doesn't. It doesn't. So lies that are created by human beings make the human being powerless. They make the human being powerless. In the time they are spending to create the lie, in the hope that they have that the lie will prevent them from the suffering, which makes them powerless to that as well, which is what is being described here as the modes of passion and ignorance, that is the force that people are not able to overcome. And that is because of their activities. And nobody knows it. No, I shouldn't say nobody knows it. Devotees know it. But the people that are engaged in sinful activities, to the most part, are not even aware that they are sinful activities that are against their own well-being. They are thinking these things are going to provide for them happiness and some form of pleasure. And Srila Prabhupada brings out so many times in the purports, it's all the cause of suffering. All this pursuit to try and somehow satisfy the senses in a way contrary to that advice given by the Supreme Person, who has not only created the means to satisfy the senses, but he's created the senses himself. And those perfectly well, every single one of them work. And has given understanding through a whole science of medicine, having 7 branches of itself, surgery being one so farly advanced, it can connect the head of an animal onto a human being and make him fully functional. As is being realized now with the training of animals to be taught English language or other languages in the world, it is being recognized that with interaction of human beings, animals can also be brought to a state of communication, which is also revelation, proof of the statements being made in Bhagavatam and all the sacred literatures, that mankind was not always in enmity with the animal kingdom. And in order for that to be restored in humankind, human beings have to be ones to take the step of consciousness that sees all living entities, all living forms of life, as expansions of the breath of the Supreme Person that give each and every individual an experience to know him by, a various aspect of his own personality. So in the lands of those aquatics that are swimming under the oceans, their floating ability is like Krishna's floating ability. And food just comes to them. Of course, they are living in fear as well. And Krishna says, of those living entities, in their minds, their fear is the shark. All the little fishes, when they see the shark come, they run because they know he is death to them. And Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita, that place that they are putting the shark is the place that human beings should put him, in the place that, but see, they have no means of knowing Krishna. The fish have no means of knowing. So we do the same thing in our minds. What we are afraid of, we should, instead of whatever it is causing us the fear, we should know that Krishna is there. We should have in our minds that place, whatever is now filled with fear, we should replace with Krishna consciousness. Means Krishna himself is there in our minds, in our hearts, in our intents, in our purposes of life, in the words we speak, in the acts we take part in the meals we eat, in the conversation we share. Everything is enhanced by the realization and the communication and the connection with the Supreme Person from whom all this is made available and possible. Krishna, we're saying, the most sweet name to call him by is Krishna. You can call him by other names, but the one he is saying will give you the most benefit by Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. You can devise so many means, but until you can prove that your means has superior result, we're going to take Lord Chaitanya's means, the golden avatar for this age, who gives full realization of the future. What's going to come? Why? Because he's the one who is the force that turns this planet. He is the one that sets it in place. He is the one that knows past, present, and future. So by worship of him, we see the results of karma that people can't see in their own lives. You can see in another person's life the karma they're suffering from because of their own activities that they can't see. Why? How? Because Krishna gives you understanding and knowing the changes made in your own life by the principles, by applying the principles that Krishna has given you to apply, and by prayer finding the ability that he gives you, because you have a mind to know God is our ability. And if we have that consciousness, compare the thought that God is our ability to the thought that I have to do everything myself. Compare that thought. You want to compare your own strength to God's strength? So if you have the option of choosing between your strength and God's strength, you're going to make your choice to be. They don't give you the option, though, in college. They believe themselves to be all-powerful, controlling the world, that control everybody's life, set up all the systems the world is functioning with, and everything's hunky-dory. No, Srila Prabhupada said, I'm okay, you're not okay. Because we need to be able to give this knowledge to everyone. It's why everyone's not okay. We got to get this knowledge out. We got to somehow in our minds find a means in our lives to everyone we come in contact with, give this treasure house of love of God that we have found now. And as we do, the value of it will become more and will increase to us. So just as you are expanding by chanting Krishna's name, the ocean of mercy, that name is itself, your experience of the ecstasy that name brings will also increase. And that can be brought to your remembrance because its nature is ever youthful. Your experience of it as well brings you to the realization of the soul's ever youthfulness. So we can look forward to Krishna bringing us to the place that he sees most fit for us to be in, as long as we surrender to him, realizing he has a better idea. They say Ford has a better idea. Well, we say Krishna has a better idea. So Ford may have a better idea for cars. We have a better idea for life by taking Krishna's advice. Krishna has a better idea for us. And then we just fill our hearts and minds with his ideas. And wow, then we know what life is supposed to be experiencing. Any comments, any questions? I'm moving on into overtime.
Very nice, Prabhu. Three most important elements: Kala, time, Guna, modes.
Yeah.
This. So, Māyā.
Yeah, and see, in effect, by pointing out these three forces, he's also bringing us to the awareness of how we become free from that force. That's what confidential knowledge is, the experience of being free from it. Not only reading about the possibility in the future, but by application, the experience now. That's Vigyan, applied knowledge. And that's what we want to know about, the experience of. So we do have to apply the science in order to get the result of the science. But once it is experienced, wow, the tasting. The pudding is in the tasting. Yeah, the sweetness of the nectar is in the application of the principles required in order to taste the nectar. Any other comments? Thank you very much for coming. All glories to your servants, Prabhu. Srila Prabhupada, Ki Jai. Shrimadbhagavatam, Ki Jai.